Good evening, good evening. We are back live in conversation. Happy New Year to you all. I am Winnie Antoine back with my lovely co-host, attorney Daphne Chameleon. Hey, Daphne, how's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm going well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So we are back in another conversation. So technically this is our season two. So talking about what matters to you all. So whatever, regardless of if it's wealth, immigration, family, business, entrepreneurship, life and conversation is all about what matters to you. If it matters to you, it matters to us, and we'll talk about it. So do you want to just greet the people before we get started, Daphne?
Sure, sorry. As you can see, my lovely assistant came in and gave me water. So yeah, just I think you mentioned we're going to start a new format for the show. This
Yes.
will be the first evening that we will be doing the new format, and we'll be talking about current events and, like you said, whatever is interest and whatever is going on.
Yep, awesome. So let's get to it. Come on in, join the live, share the live, come with your questions, your comments. We are here for it. So let's get started with current events. And so, as Daphne is an immigration attorney, she practices immigration attorney as well. So forgive me, y'all. So Daphne, go ahead with the. Forgive me. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's a new year, new year, new year. No,
Hopefully, that's not the new me.
no. Immigration continues. As before, DACA was reinstated, and people are applying. People who've never had DACA are applying. People who needed to renew have renewed. There's going to be an extension for DACA. Had a period where there was under the administration, the Trump administration, they had a rule that said it would only DACA would be renewed for 1 year versus before it used to be renewed for 2 years. That has been changed. It's going to be going back to 2 years, and people are getting extensions. So a lot of things are happening. TPS for a lot of countries also got extended. So be on the lookout if someone's on TPS. Be on the lookout for that. So I'm certain within the new year, with the new administration coming in 14 days, after that administration is put into place, we will have some new changes to immigration. Things are slow in general for all the people who are out there applying. And just to keep that in mind for things in general, that things are slow. We're hoping that'll speed up as well within the next couple months.
Awesome. So let's talk about current events in the US.
Woo! Today, today was a roller coaster. What do you think? Well, we should talk about what's going on today.
You tell me.
Today, so today was interesting because today is January 6th, 2021, and Congress is you have people, they're counting the votes, right? They're counting the electoral college votes to go ahead and certify that Biden is the new president-elect. Biden is the new president. Well, there are people who are upset about that. They're protesting. They want Mike Pence, the current vice president, to go ahead and not certify the votes, not let states do that, and they want to disrupt the vote. But you can't. But that was never going to work because each state voted, right? So you know how electoral college, just in general, each state voted already. Their Secretary of State's, governors, whatever, said this is our vote. So you can't ask the federal government to turn around and overturn what the state has said. So that was never going to work. So this is all a stunt, but it got violent tonight, which is unfortunate. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
I read a piece of news article where actually Biden, not Biden, I'm sorry, Mike Pence was being sued. Okay, so that because they wanted him to, like a group wanted him to go ahead and I guess remove the vote, or to disregard the electoral college votes. And then so then he had to give a response to the judge. I think that was Thursday, or maybe last Thursday. He had to respond by that day to say, what he said. And then he basically said that, that technically has nothing to do with him. He's the wrong party because they're suing to put him in power. And so he had to ask the judge to disregard the lawsuit. But hey, this is current news. But then we have bigger news. Anything else you wanted to add, Daphne, before we move on?
No, just right now as we speak, they are counting the votes. It has been resumed, so that's exciting news. Um, yeah, that's super exciting news as well.
So, I mean, President-elect Biden is gonna be the president of the United States, and we just have to hope for the best.
Right.
So the audience, as you guys are live, thanks for joining in. Join the conversation. Let us know your thought about the current events and the current news. Well, we have a major news for you all. For those of you who did not know, January 1st is the new year everywhere. But it's also a special holiday for people like me who is Haitian and Haitian American. Um, so it was Haitian Independence Day in January 1st. And so today we want to talk about that a little bit. And we also want to talk about Haitian and Haitian American contribution to the US. So the title was True or False. Chicago was founded by Haitian men. I would love to get your feedback as you are coming in. Did you know that? Did you not know that? I had did a poll, like a Facebook story poll, and most of you did say you know it, but then some of you did not know it. So anything you wanna add on that, Daphne? Like, you think many people know that Chicago was founded by Haitian men?
No, I don't. I think we're out of Chicago. Certainly, I think for sure. I think most of those most people in other states probably don't know that. And then people in Chicago, I believe there's probably a few that know that. But I think most people don't. I grew up in Chicago. I went to schools in Chicago, and I was never taught that in school. So I think I don't think I was an isolated event.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people aren't taught that and may learn that later when they inquire on their own, or maybe if they're in higher ed and they take some type of specialized history course, they may discover that. But yeah.
Yes. Hey, Fadia, thanks for joining us. Hey, Christine. Yeah, so Fadia says true. Christine says true. Yep. But then why do you think that is though? Because Chicago is the third largest US city by population. Okay. And then to have this huge city, and for that not to be common knowledge.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's there probably is some racism involved in that. There's you know one of the best ways to keep oppression is to deny people their history, right? So imagine all the kids out there, whatever nationality. And I want to say it's not just DuSable. Chicago's founding is super unique because he married a Native American woman, and her tribe was instrumental in helping DuSable do trading and do stuff like of that nature to develop the area. So the Native American aspect is humongous, in this as well. It isn't everywhere, but this is especially interesting. And then it's also because it's a woman, it's on her side, so Chicago has a very unique beginning. But I only think, why not? Why would you not be proud of that and want to display that? Instead, they try to say, I mean, we'll probably get into that later, but they just tried to
Yes.
say, they tried to claim someone else. John Kinsey was the founder of Chicago, which is not the truth.
Who did they say was the founder of Chicago?
I believe his first name is John, but Kinsey. You know how
Yeah.
there's Kinsey Street?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but then he was actually, I mean, we said Jean Baptiste Point du Sable. That's who we are talking about. We are
Mm-hmm.
talking about Jean Baptiste Point du Sable, who is the founder of Chicago. That is not common knowledge, that's not being taught in school. Uh, and then he was actually just recognized as the founder of Chicago in 2006. Am I correct about that?
No, he's been they're doing different stuff to recognize him. He's getting more recognition, but it's been quite some time since people have recognized that he was, because they actually found papers of different people from, back at that time when he was alive, talking about him and talking about how he was a rich man, and he sold a piece of land to another person who eventually got Kinsey got it, right. So there has been recognition that he was, but just lately, maybe the last like 30 years, there's been more of a push to put him out there.
No, but I think what I was reading was that the city of Chicago made it official in 2006.
Oh,
I
that's
should
possible.
have kept I should have kept that article when I was reading that. But then that's what I saw. So I just want to go to the Haitian Times website right now that has a article about the five Haitian who made larger contribution to the U.S. And then we'll just give you a little brief synopsis of who Jean-Baptiste Poindexter was. And Fadia says he's black, and I think that's because she's responding to my question as to why is Jean-Baptiste Poindexter being the founder of Chicago not common knowledge. And thank you all who are joining. I see you all. Thanks for the like. Um, Join the conversation. Let us know your thought about that. Did you know that? And also, should there be more? Should there be more done to recognize this awesome man who made such a large contribution to the U.S.? Let me share my screen. No, not that one. Yeah, so this is the Haitian Times. Is it live?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes. So this was an article by Farah Lois from the Haitian Times, and it says Jean-Baptiste Poindexter was one of the first permanent residents of Chicago, Illinois, and is hailed as the founder of Chicago. Poindexter was a successful fur and grain trader who established a base in the Great Lakes region of Chicago in the late 1770s, the son of a Haitian father and an African-born slave mother. DuSable was summoned by the British to represent the trading interests with the Indians in Detroit. This is exactly what you are talking about, Daphne. Uh, in 1784, DuSable returned to Chicago, creating several buildings and infrastructure that steadily flourished into major trading center. So, giving that, let me stop it right now, and we can always go back to the next one. So, like when you read this article, what comes to mind, Daphne?
Right. No, I mean, so I mean, it's significant, and even there's so much they don't. There's so much they know, and there's so much they don't know. Like that picture, like no one fully knows like what Dusabo looks like, and that picture is based off of a bust, a statue, a small statue that was done in Chicago, and Dusabo is fair skinned, right? So we got to think back in the day at this time when he was here, in order for him to go pass through different parts of the United States, um, you know, there was a way that he was more accepted, and it was, largely believed it was because he was fair skinned, right? And on top of that, he had a big relationship. He married a Native American. He was involved in her tribe. He was received well. There was even, I'm actually currently reading a book right now about DeSable, and there is research saying that at one point they were trying to make him chief of the tribe. So he was very intertwined. And so that I believe that's the reason why he was able to do certain things like this. It's fascinating, but you're right. Why was that hidden from us? But I just think because they don't want people to know their history. And also people, America has a problem. Obviously we have a problem with racism, and there's a problem with it's there's a problem with slavery, as far as like the slavery is bad, period. But the recognition of slavery, talking about slavery, talking about how the United States benefited off of slavery, um, all that stuff is all intertwined in all of this, and not wanting to talk, and only wanting to talk about positive things, and not, talking about all this.
But then that's basically denying a truth
Right.
that could certainly be important to society and be important to youth like black and brown skinned people, and then to acknowledge that this was something that was done by a black man in 1770s, so that I mean that's a major, I don't want to call it a win because it's to him it was normal,
Right.
you know and then so now we're calling it a win, but then that was something that he established. So that was part of his human dignity, so of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But going back to the Haitian story though, so what maybe a lot of people don't know is that Haiti is the first black republic. So the US is the first republic, but Haiti is the first black republic. And then so that also means that we have this story of people who demand to be human beings, demand to be respected, demand to be dignified, and to say, I choose to live and die how I want to. And then so going back to you being an immigration attorney, and my husband and I will always talk about that. And so there's a lot of issues with immigrations. Okay,
Right.
there's a lot of there's a lot of issues with immigration, but we have to go back to the root of the problem. You
Mm-hmm.
see, you see where I'm going with that?
Right.
And so people wouldn't need to immigrate to other places if the home, were not being destroyed. And then so we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge the fact that, if a man like Dusab can come to the US, and establish this huge city, he could have done it in Haiti. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the other people, there's so many Haitians who have intellect, who could have done it as well. And so it's unfortunate when people are not, giving those options. You see
Right.
where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I think so Haiti, so for people who are not Haitian, or even involved in politics or whatever, or who are American or whatever, who are just like, who cares, right? But it's all about, like we talked about, history, knowing the history, and understanding when you see some of these narratives that are being put out in the media. Whenever someone talks about Haiti, who is the media, I'll say, their first sentence is that it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, right? And that
Agree.
might remind people because I mean, if you think about it, what's the point of that? It's very negative, right? And
But it's
so
a narrative, though.
right, it's the narrative that they want to put out there. But the United States relationship with Haiti, right, and there's a relationship is intertwined, and that goes back. This is not something that's recent, even though people might not understand that.
Yeah.
With the news and all this other stuff, is this goes back all the way to the 1800, like to 1800s. That's how intertwined the United States is, excuse me, with Haiti, and that's a very unique situation. As Renee was saying, U.S. is the first republic, and so U.S. was the first, independent country in the Western Hemisphere. Haiti was the second. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about how United States came about, how it broke from England and all the stuff that was going from Europe and all the stuff that was going on, and how they established the United States, Haiti was second, right? And so part of the I'd say love hate, but probably for lack of a better word, difficult
It's a complicated relationship. It's complicated.
relationship goes all the way back, because when Haiti, in just to give a quick little history lesson, when she was saying January 1st is like Independence Day, that's when Haiti celebrates the day they freed themselves. Remember, the U.S. was just a baby country at the time, and how that affected the United States at the time by Haiti freeing themselves, fighting the French, gaining their freedom. You had all these slaves that gained their own freedom, right? That scared all these other slave countries that had slaves, right? Because they were afraid that it was going to spread to their country, or that Haitians would come over to their country, which we did, and that's a whole other story. But like, to free people and to spread the word. But go ahead.
I'm gonna add to that. So the article I just shared from the New York, I'm sorry, from the Haitian Times, that talked about the 5 Haitians that contributed to the U.S.
Mhm.
Okay, so the second is Henri Christophe. Okay, and then
Mhm.
so when you're talking about Haiti going to other countries to help free black people from slavery, but listen to this. Henry Christophe was an influential Haitian leader who played a significant role in the American Revolution. Serving in the French unit in Savannah, Georgia in 1780, a former slave and key leader in the Haitian Revolution, Christophe was among the 545 Haitian free slaves known as the Fontage Legion, fighting for the freedom of men and women in America who desired to be free from the shackles of oppression. Now, talk about that.
Right. No, and that goes into that complicated relationship, because United States was scared, right? They were scared of these Haitians that were coming over and telling their slaves, "Look what we did. We overthrew our people. You should look at your people." And in addition to that, when they freed themselves, you had Napoleon. We are taught about Napoleon in the school systems, but just about how the U.S. purchased Louisiana. But the
Okay.
reason why they got to purchase Louisiana is because Napoleon gave up on Louisiana because he had just been defeated by Haiti.
There
So
was
then,
no interest.
right, there was no interest, and the U.S. was able to double their territory because they were able to purchase that and other land west of the Mississippi. So that is, the size of the U.S. That was a direct effect on what was going on in Haiti. So you have this intertwined history that dates way back, and so as we said, it's complicated,
It's
and
complicated.
it's complicated. Um,
This is so the that orange. I don't want to call it orange. Um, color. This is how much land that Haiti acquired. I'm sorry, that the U.S. acquired from the Louisiana Purchase.
wow.
You all see all that.
Right.
This is how much land that was acquired as a result of the Louisiana Purchase, that was as a result of the Haitian Revolution that the Haitians won, and therefore the French had no desired or no or the interest, because Haiti produced the vast majority of the wealth that the French receive from the Americas. And so if they don't have Haiti, and Haiti was the number one provider, then therefore they didn't need the rest of this land. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. So tiny little Haiti. So they basically gave up of all of this land because they no longer had Haiti.
Because they were
That's significant.
right, and it is significant. And it was because the slaves there, I think, were it was sugar and coffee and things
Yeah,
that
and
the crops,
cacao.
right, the crops, excuse me, I'm saying the crops that they were growing and planting, etc., and the money they were making from was very valuable. And so to lose that country, and she's right, that was all that money and value that they lost. So you can imagine, um, the slave owners at the time in the United States were thinking the same thing was going to happen to different area states at the time in the United States. So,
Because I mean, if we know what freedom is, so therefore we wanted to shelter for brothers and sisters.
right.
And then Faya said, "What's the name of the book?" You said you are reading a book
I
from
don't. I'll have
Bible.
to. I'll get it to you. I
Okay.
just put it at the top of my it's literally on my nightstand.
Okay. And she also said, "Do you guys know why Dusabo immigrated to Chicago?" Um, Honestly,
He didn't just go to, he didn't go just to Chicago. He was in Peoria. He was going down the river or whatever,
Mississippi, I think.
doing business, doing why he came, because I believe he went to France at one point. Why he ended up coming to the Americas, that I don't know.
Okay, so let's go. So we talk about the Louisiana Purchase. We talk. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. And I'm not sure if I didn't talk to you about that. But then let's talk about the money that Haiti had to pay to preserve its independence,
Right.
which basically they had to close a lot of the institution that would have been important for the benefit of the country. And so what would you like to add on that?
Just that, the money that they quote unquote owed France and has to pay
Independence. Hmm.
has been a mark on Haiti, as they say, something that held them back for many years, and is part of the reason Haiti is the way it is now.
But then you talked about how Haiti is intertwined. The U.S. and Haiti are kind of intertwined. But then there was a time where Haiti was under the U.S. rulings.
Right,
Okay,
right,
and then so when I learn about that, what I learned about that is, as soon as the U.S. was, I guess, in power in Haiti, they actually took no, I'm sorry, they gave Haiti a loan, and I would say involuntarily loan because they were in power,
right.
uh, to continue to pay
France,
France. Yes, that restitution. And so, with that being said, this is all money that Haiti had to pay, and now you are lending. It's basically, I come to your house, I seize your home, and
right,
then I lend you money.
right, right. So I'm indebted to you.
Yeah, I took your home, I lend you money to pay somebody that you owe, and now
Right,
you owe me. But then talk about how, and then this is, I think Haiti didn't finish paying this loan more like I think recently that they forgave the whatever little left that was left of it.
Hmm.
And then so we're just looking at the dynamic about when we're talking about immigration, all of this is a result as to why people are looking for better options. And
Yeah,
if go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah. People often are leaving their country, like, most people don't want to leave their country, right? You do have people who are, I'm not saying this for Haiti, I'm just saying maybe a place like the US, who might want to go on a venture wanderlust, just just to see what's out there, maybe want to move to another country. But most people don't want to move, from their country, maybe a different location, but within the country, but not their country. So not just Haiti in general, but when you're talking about immigration coming here, it's because a lot of times they feel like they have no other choice, right? Because they're seeking to just have, when people say better life, you know, we would
Opportunity.
opportunities to have a decent life, compared, unless, some people haven't traveled overseas or over to another country or whatever their whole life. So people live differently, and we take a lot of things for granted being in the United States. Even, people are very poor here. People are they're very rich and very poor, but our poorest of the poor still have more resources or access to resources. Now, I'm not going to talk about whether they know it or not, because that's a different story. That in they may not even know that, but they still have access to resources that just people in other countries don't even have that access. There is no food stamps. There are no government assistant housing. There's just the basics that we need to just be able to think about the next day, is if we ate or do we have shelter. They don't have, right? And they don't have anybody where they can fill out a form, and even if it took some time, get access to it. So that's just a different level. But yeah, I think that yeah, it's important for immigration. Why it takes so long? Immigration, the way the laws are now and how tough it was is to come here, was not how it always was. And we're talking about maybe 40 and 50 years ago. Immigration to the United States from all over the world, was not as difficult as it is now. It didn't, take as long. There wasn't the anti-immigrant sentiment that we have right currently going on. Our system is broken. I mean, I actually agree, with the current administration in that little part, saying our system is broken. Now, how to fix it, I don't agree, right? Like, things need to take more, be faster. There needs to be more people. It needs to be more streamlined. So, but yeah, I do believe, but I think the US's influence on Haiti and what they're do, because they still, remember we said that relationship is complicated. It dates all the way back to the 1800s. We are now in 2020, and the US is still has a very strong influence. And what does that mean? That means the US has an influence on presidencies and politics and things that are going on, right? So
Which
um,
affects the people.
it affects the people who
And
then,
then when the people, like, people need places to go. If they cannot stay at the home, where are they gonna go? They're gonna look for shelter. And so I'm sorry, they just have to. I mean, I don't want to say they, because this is a we issue, so we all are in this together. But then we just have to really, understand that, okay, like you just said, people don't want to leave the home. So not just, let's not look at the people who's leaving the home. Let's look at the root of the issue. What is the root of the matter? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, fix it from there. We leash the country from there. But at the same time, I mean, our leaders also have to be accountable as well.
Yeah,
And then so there has to be like a give and take or a balance, or there have to be a partnership. I don't know.
I even think I would go further and say that, to me, now obviously I can be on a soapbox having not
Yes. Yeah.
being in the United States, right? So when I say that, meaning that I can this is just my opinion, and I that's not my day-to-day life. So I'm
Mhm.
someone who's sitting in Haiti might be looking at me saying, you don't know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and I respect that. So, but what I'm saying is I believe that Haiti uh needs to help Haiti, right?
Yes.
And until it comes from top to bottom, bottom to top, it comes all the way around, right? But until that, they need to make a decision to help themselves, right? That doesn't mean like, when I say that, that includes the Haitian diaspora, that includes all that, because that's a part of Haiti. But that's what's the only way that's going to. They need to take their control, and that's it. I don't know
But
what that how
yeah,
that.
but the Haitian diaspora kind of feel like, I would say, helpless, because technically you cannot just go to Haiti and do things. Even being an entrepreneur,
Right?
it's challenging. Okay, and then so
But that's but
it's challenging.
Right, no, it is, but that's what I'm saying. That's Haiti has to take Haiti, right? So like if you have, so I give you it's not parallel but similar, but like you have Ghana. Ghana says welcome back, right? They're encouraging African Americans, anybody of African descent that's not just that, probably European Ghanaians or whatever,
Yes,
um,
everybody wants to
or not,
go.
it's your Afro Europeans. They're saying everywhere around the world, right? You come back to us, right? If you have some African in you, come back home, right? And they're welcoming the people. And I'm not saying Haiti doesn't welcome people in the diaspora, but you got to make it. If you want to do a campaign, you got to make it easy for us. Like, I'm sure there's so many people that would love to invest in Haiti, but it would be it may be difficult to buy the land. It's hard to get land. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
It
hard to
is.
get clear titled land is what I'm saying. So you don't want to buy land and have somebody say this is my land. And like
Yes.
here, you can't purchase a building. I mean, you could, and someone say this is my building. There's processes, there's laws, you have recourse where you can go to court and say, actually,
And the
this
number one thing is justice.
right,
Justice.
right.
There has to be justice. I mean, like, even here, that, I mean, things are not perfect here. Obviously, the justice system is not perfect here.
Look what
But then
happened. Look what happened today.
that's another topic for another day.
Right,
Camille.
right, right, right.
So, but at the same time, it's not perfect, but there is a level of, that there's a system, that you can go to.
Yeah,
It's not the same thing.
there's a system. No, it's not the same thing. You're right.
It's not the same. That there's a little system in place.
There's a system, and there's rules, and there's checks and balances.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
things. That's why you can buy land and rest assured that that's your land. And if somebody tries
Yes.
to do something, you can get it back because all you have to show is your proof. That's not the. You don't have to bribe anybody. You don't have to have people guard it. You don't have to do those things, right? So that's not the
Yes.
case in Haiti, and as well as lots of countries, right? So this is not a problem isolated just for Haiti, but those are the type of things that having a valid infrastructure, right? Like
Security.
having rules, having security, those are type of things that will help Haiti, right? Help the people in Haiti. Having electricity 24/7. I know that they said Jovenel Moise, the current president, is working on that, right? But I don't know, right? But I'm saying those the things we take for granted here. I mean, when's the last time you had a blackout? Okay, the things
Uh,
right, the things we take for granted here, like being able to turn on our water, being able to have electricity 24. Some people do have those things, right? But the majority don't. Okay, and so like those basic things that will help Haiti. That will help the people in Haiti. kids will be able to study easier.
Like that's going back to fairness, into justice, into dignity.
Right.
Just I think like people in Haiti, we are smart enough to thrive. We are smart. I mean, the reason that we've been so this long is because we are smart enough to live on, the bare minimum. But imagine that if there's a space where that allowed that has the infrastructure for us to thrive, Haiti can be one of the top nations in this world.
Yeah.
But then our leaders just have to understand that this is not about any one man. This is about a people, this is about a nation, and therefore, like like you president, or maybe you in the Senate, or whatever level of power that you have, it's only temporary. But
Mm-hmm.
Haiti will last, until Jesus come back.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Right.
So with that being said, would you put your interest ahead of a nation interest and ahead of the people? Because at the end of the day, like I'm not sure if you're familiar with John Hope Bryant. He's basically talking about the same thing of for African American, which is economic power. Because at the end of the day, if you have a nation that's thriving, you know, so just increase the pie. He talked about increasing the pie, not just like confiscating the pie for you, because if you increase it, and you want to confiscate it, you have more to confiscate.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody's gonna get a little piece of the pie. And then I think that's, at the end of the day, just put Haiti ahead of individual interests. And in that way too, we'll be more respected around the world, and people will actually get to know who we are as a people. So I just want to add to Fadia. She says, but Haiti cannot depend on the Haitian diaspora to be the only one to save it, meaning the diaspora is sending a lot of money to Haiti. Let me let you comment on that, Daphne, and then I can add my 2 cents.
Okay, so I don't remember off the top of my brain. But there is a percentage of Haiti's GDP that is reliant on money that's coming from people in the Haitian diaspora. When we say Haitian diaspora, we mean people who are outside of Haiti that are sending money back to people who are in Haiti, which is what is sustaining many people currently in Haiti. This has been going on for a long time, but now it's to the point there's an actual percentage. I don't know if it's 10% or 20% or
It's
what it
more
is.
than that. I would think it's more than that.
So but it is a significant percentage, because if you think of a GDP, that's a lot. That's
30.7%.
37%.
30.7%.
Oh, 30 point. That's pretty much 31% of their GDP is being sustained, that is not sustainable. Like, you can't have outside people sending money in for this. That's a large amount. So, but the thing is, when I say we are a part of it, Haitian diaspora, um, Haiti will be able to take care of Haiti when a lot of these basic things are put into place, which cost money. But like, so first of all, I'm not a politician. I have no idea what it takes to get these things done. But I know building roads is extremely expensive. I don't know what it takes to get electricity in a country 24/7. These are basic things that we have that we take for granted. I don't know for getting running water in every single household in country, and having a basic system, and sewer system and all that stuff. All of this is stuff, but these are all things, I'm sure that would create jobs and create, and security, which we didn't talk about. Being a place that people feel, um, being a place that people feel somewhat safe and secure. We live in Chicago. People tell you tons of crazy things about Chicago, but most people still believe that if they called the police, if something happened to them today, and they called the police, one of the police would come today, and they would at least write a report. And we believe that we have some type of recourse That doesn't mean things are not going to happen, but
Yes.
the basic security needs to be put in place. If those things are put in place, that will allow Haiti to help Haiti, and then the diaspora and anything that they do, I feel like would just continue to help, but it wouldn't be a reliance on us, right? And so that's what I said. Like maybe getting a water system might help with crops and maybe growing their own food. Haiti right now exports a lot of their food. Why is that? You're an island that used to, they used to um what was I gonna say? They used to grow stuff, used to sell
Yes.
stuff. Why what happened and why can't that be? They import a lot of stuff. You used to do that, so why can't that be? So like I said, if Haiti, go ahead, you want to say something?
So I remember a research paper I had to do in regards to that. So when we talk about a lot of time when we talk about AIDS, when
Mhm.
I mean AIDS, I'm talking about like help
Right.
assistance, yeah, assistance that Haiti gets from the U.S. So a lot of time we talk about, the U.S. giving like million of dollars to Haiti.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so let's clarify that.
Okay.
Some of that, it's basically the food that the farmers here in the US that they grow. Okay, so the US government then purchase it from those farmers, and then they either sell it at a low price or give it to Haiti. Okay, so now that is increasing, you know, the economy, for the farmers, for the US. And it now this is destabilizing, the agriculture in Haiti. So technically this aid is really, because you're just giving people food for one day. But when you break down the infrastructure for agriculture, then they become reliant. Okay, so we also have to look at, those those type of aid as well. That's technically not really helping Haiti. It might help, provide food for somebody for one day, but on the long run, those like when we talk about the relationship, this complicated relationship, we also have to be mindful of all those little details as well. And I'm pretty sure that's not only with Haiti that they're doing that, but in maybe different countries as well who's having some of the same challenges that Haiti has.
Right. Right. And that's a huge one, right? So if they were um, producing their rice, producing their things that they used to produce, right, within the country, how many jobs again would that, the cost, things that if people say the cost is so expensive, well, yeah, because it's coming from another country.
They
If
cannot
it
compete.
they can't. And so and that's been some of the issues, but that's even that goes back to helping Haiti, right? So but I don't know how that got switched over and how that can get switched back over. I like I said, I don't know
Yeah,
how.
it's just it's just going back to create like helping those farmers in Haiti. I'm sure there are other programs. There's a lot of programs who are doing that, but then on a large scale though. You
Right,
know, it has to be on a large scale to get Haiti back to producing his its own food. Okay,
right,
so starting from there because we import so much plantains from Dominican Republic.
right. And
You
we
know, our
right,
plantains come from Dominican Republic, most of it,
right,
a lot of it.
right.
And so but that also says that our neighbors figured it out because
Figured
from the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
they have they but it's not even they figured it out. I can't remember, but I know that they got money or got a loan. I don't remember from where, Dominican Republic, at a certain point. But one of the differences, they have their issues too. But lots of people are leaving Haiti to go to Dominican Republic. But one of their issues is they um they tend to have electricity. They tend to have paved roads. They tend to have, they're the
Our
base.
infrastructure, yeah.
Right. The basics are there. So that they are already starting a step ahead because
Hmm.
they have the basics. if you gave, if I'm gonna say gave, but if Haiti had their own, if the basics were there, right?
Mhm.
We're just talking about paved roads.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna say it's not expensive.
Electricity, yeah.
Yeah, the basics, like everybody has running water in their house. The basics,
Ownership.
um, that would change it. That would change it. But you're right. The other part of that, and then Dominican Republic has, so they have that. They also have tourism, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Do
Right.
you
No.
know, like, when I work at the bank, a lot of I always have an accent, so people always asking me, where you from?
Mhm.
Do you know how many times when I say Haiti, and people will say, "What is that?" And I have to say, next to Dominican Republic. That was my, like, my frame. you know,
Right.
that was my only guidance to how to explain what Haiti is. Next to Dominican Republic. But then once upon a time, Haiti,
Right.
was the one who, I don't want to say occupy. Maybe that's the whole issue that maybe Dominican Republic may have with Haiti or vice versa. I don't know. When the Haiti was the example for Dominican Republic, it's for so many. We talk about different nations in the Americas.
Right.
So yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is. It's very
But
complicated.
there's hope. There's hope.
There's always hope. There's always hope because I mean, there's always hope. Is it there's supposed to be supposed to be, I said, an election this year, right? I don't
Yeah.
know, but there's supposed to be. So depending on how that, or next year or whatever ends up happening, maybe there'll be, the next person. Um, who knows? Who knows? But there's always hope.
All right. So I think this was a great conversation. A lot of you gave comments. Hopefully, oh, I think there's a comment right now. Oh yes. So Fadia says Haiti was known as La Perle des Antilles. Yes, it was the pearls of the, and how you say Antilles, Daphne. Also
Um,
the pearl of the islands. Yeah.
yeah, something like
The
that.
other side, yeah, the part of the islands, yes, yes, because like we said, it produced over 90% of the revenue that was going to France.
Yeah.
So that being said, we have a long history. We have a history of being winners, and we can go back to being a winner. Um, we just have to have the, I guess, the field to be, uh, right.
Right.
Okay.
We have that
Security,
basic infrastructure. Right.
basic infrastructure, security, justice, um, and opportunity for entrepreneurship, because people can thrive. That's, like I said, people in Haiti, they know how to survive. Now it's time for them to have an opportunity to thrive. And obviously, the diaspora is part of the solution, but not the solution, because there's so much or so little that we can do. So let's go back. We only have 5 minutes left. I think that was a good conversation. I wanted to go back to Jusab, kind of
Mhm.
showing the Jusab, the boss that was created, and then talk about the Jusab Museum if people want to further the knowledge about Jean-Baptiste Jusab. Before I do that, anything you like to add, Daphne?
No, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, that Fadia says the Pearl of the Caribbean.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So last December we did a holiday show where we showcase various Haitian organizations in the Chicago community. So if you are of Haitian descent or you're interested about anything Haiti, you can always go back to one of those live and see the various organizations that people of Haitian descent making a difference not only in Haiti but in the U.S. or in the Chicago as well. So one of those organization is the Sab Heritage Association, and so let me share my screen. Hello, everyone. I know we're having a conversation. Thanks for joining. I see you all.
I can
Thanks,
talk.
Nadia, for all the comments.
I can talk a little bit about the Disable Heritage
Go ahead.
Foundation. They're in right now. One of their major projects is to get a DuSable Park in Chicago. Right, as we said stated earlier, DuSable is the founder of, or is given credit as the founder. Right, we know Native Americans were here ahead of time, but it's giving credit as the founder of Chicago. And what they're doing is they have the land. There's been land that was dedicated in the 80s. Can you believe it? We're in 2020. And it's taken that long. Not from there. They've been making a fantastic effort, but the land was contaminated. It needed to be cleaned. There were so many things that, and issues and obstacles that had come up. But finally, they have this land. Finally, they've been given the go ahead to get this park built on the land. There are developers that have donated, I believe, about $10 million, and the city of Chicago itself has donated $5 million to get this park underway. I'm not sure the exact date is supposed to break down, but it's going to be within the next couple, like 2 years, something like that. I'm not sure exactly when. Could be, I don't know if it's this year. It could be next year. And so there should be a DuSable Park, and it's downtown Chicago. There's also a bust, right? And so that's like a statue that's dedicated. And the cool fun fact about this statue is that it was in, I believe, in a Ford commercial that they talk about this, and they have it in Chicago. So yeah, that's the bust that Renee is showing. And so there's also another organization called Black Heroes Matter, and they're out of Chicago, and they're currently working on, that's been in the news lately, they're working on a DuSable street, a DuSable holiday in the city of Chicago, and a DuSable statue. Now, this statue that there is going to be different from what we already have. This is supposed to be a 25-foot statue, and all of it is honoring DuSable. So Chicago has some recognition. They have a DuSable museum on the south side. I don't know how much, if like how much of DuSable's in the history is in the museum, but they do have a museum with the name DuSable on it. Like I said, we have that bus, but it's still not common knowledge, So we're, people. I have some affiliation with Black Heroes Matter, and what they're trying to do is really to just get more recognition for DuSable by getting that street holiday and statue. The street is controversial because it is on the outer drive of Lakeshore Drive, and if you've ever been to Chicago, that is on the lakefront, right? So it's a beautiful, beautiful area downtown, and going up to the north side and part of the south side, they want that whole drive to be called DuSable Drive. And some people have been for it, and some people are against it. So they're hoping to vote on it in April of 2021. The holiday, they're in talks, and then the statute as well. Nothing has been agreed upon, so this is just what their aspirations are.
Amazing. So I was going to DuSable Museum as you are talking to show like the awesome, like you said, program or places that honors DuSable, then we just need to be in a larger scale. That way, more people. That's something that should be taught in school. That more children can know that, more people of African descent can know that, and it shows that what one man can do. Therefore, it can be an example of excellence and greatness, and something that we've contributed, and therefore we should be credited for it. Give credit where credit is due. It
Right.
is 9 o'clock. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, and I was just going to add one point to it. It's very, very interesting. I want to say interesting. It's very important for, contributions to be acknowledged. We're in a time right now, we have Black Heroes Matter. We have, people are very upset about Columbus Day. They've changed the name to Indigenous Day in some states. And you remember, like, a lot of monuments and, statues and all this stuff were being destroyed for Columbus and some of these other old, heroes. And it's because, or heroes, I say in quotes, And it's because a lot of history has not been told. They have a place in history. Whatever people's feelings are, they are a part of our history, but so are so many other people, like the Native Americans, like learning about Gisavo's story, learning about his wife's story, learning about that tribe and their influence on the founding of Chicago. So all of that is significant, and learning about different cultures, so many cultures. It's not just Haitian people. It's, different Asian people, Hispanic people, Indian people. Just all different people have had influences on the United States, and they should all be celebrated. We're better for it.
Definitely, we will be better for it. Thank you all who has been joining us in this conversation. This has been enlightening. This was a great conversation. And so leave us a comment. Let us know your thought on if you did not know, knowing that Chicago was founded by Haitian black men. And what does that mean to you? And so leave us a comment. Let us know. We will be back Wednesday at 8 p.m. So every week we'll bring a new subject to you all, and that could be depending on what's going on with current events. And also we also will be continue to talk about what we do professionally. I know that Daphne Chameleon is an attorney. She will let me have a talk to you all about that real quick, and I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, so if you guys have any suggestions on a topic that you want us to talk about, please let us know. You can inbox Renee, or you can inbox me on Facebook. As you know, we're on Facebook Live as well. So I am Chameleon Law, or Law Chameleon. And Renee is Renee Antoine. So if you're interested in a topic, please let us know, and we will discuss it the next week. And as Renee said, I am an attorney. I do my primary focus is immigration law. I'm passionate about immigration law. So if you have any inquiries or you're interested, you can contact me. You can message me on Facebook. I'm also at www.chameleonlaw.com. And she usually has my number, but it's 847 410 9022. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Awesome. So I'm going back. Yeah, so definitely if you need any assistance in regard to any type of law matters that you have, go ahead and reach out to Daphne Chameleon. And I'm a financial services entrepreneur in the Chicagoland area. So basically, what that means that I help my clients protect, save, and grow their income. So obviously, the new year. So if you're looking for an opportunity to ensure that your income is protected or your family is protected, I can help you with your financial needs. And you can also reach out to me via Facebook at Winnie Antoine. So if you are on this page right now, just messenger me. And that's basically it. Thank you all. I appreciate all the love and all the support and all the comments. We will see you back next week, Wednesday. Winnie Antoine signing out live in conversation. Have an awesome night.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.